Hello everyone, this is Remleiz from 40k Theories, and welcome to the newest edition of Adeptus Podcastus. Joining me as always is Michael from Tactica Imperialis, and our special guest this week from the depths of the Black Library itself, Robbie MacNiven. So firstly, how is everyone doing today?
I'm doing just great, thanks very much. I'm glad to be on the show. Get a break from writing is always a plus.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, I can't complain. It's all just new digs, so more audio issues, sorry, comment.
Yes, unfortunately, it's something we're going to have to grin and bear for the teething problems as Michael settles into his new place. In the news this week, what do we actually have? Because I've not actually been around. I've been on holiday, so I'm completely out the loop.
And to be fair, it's been a bit of a quiet fortnight, actually. Forge World have released today, as recording, it's 14th of September. They've released the Carnodon Assault Tank for Solar Auxilia, Imperialis Militia, and for 40k's Astra Militarum. So it's got 5 multi-lasers, it's basically a baby Predator, and it's 60 points without any guns in 40k, so that's an interesting one.
It's very cheap, 60 points, isn't it?
For 7 wounds, toughness 7, 10 wounds, and a decent tank armor save. I mean, sure, that doesn't come with any guns, and you pay like 40 points for last cannons and then some more for the sponsons. But it is quite cheap. I think it'll be interesting to see how much play it gets if people pay attention.
Fair enough.
We've also had from Forge World Blood Bowl, so some star players for your Nagaroth Nightmares if you're into that sort of thing. And Nurgle's Rotters are also out for Blood Bowl as well. So there's a lot going on for Blood Bowl. Good times.
Which is always good news. Always good news that these specialist games can get some more love.
Support specialist games.
Hmm?
Absolutely support specialist games. I mean, I made a video on them last week about the difficulties you can have. And admittedly, I wasn't entirely informed, but I get it. It can be a bit difficult. And constant support, always a plus.
Yes, absolutely.
Speaking of, Necromunda now has Chaos.
Oh yeah, I heard about that before I went on holiday. One thing I did think, which was a very nice thing in the little bits of lore, is the return of the Chaos Gene Stealer cult, which was an absolute treat for people who've been around for a long time. And
yeah, it's certainly an old piece of lore, but good to see it back.
I mean, yeah, I know technically it never really went away, but it's nice to see it getting acknowledged again.
Yeah, sometimes things get retconned by forgetfulness, and some people consider, oh, that's 30 years old, it doesn't count anymore. But that varies from person to person, I suppose.
What's your view on that, Robbie, in regards to older lore, if it hasn't specifically been retconned?
I mean, there's no hard and fast rules in terms of what does and doesn't count if it's just in terms of the age, whether you can... I think stuff that, unless it's been deliberately, retconned and they've made it a statement on it, then as far as I'm concerned, that everything's fair game, really.
That's fair.
Basis by basis thing, and if it seems to fit in with the current law, then like Chaos Gene Stealer cults, there's no, before they re-released them, there's no real reason why. So it was a safe bet that they could always come back in actual rule form. Actually, brought back that way.
Yeah, and speaking of brought back, there was another Reader's Choice vote for Classic Black Library, which sees the return of Gotrek and Felix, City of the Damned by David Geimer, and Storm of Iron by Graham McNeil.
That was a good book. I like Storm of Iron.
Never read it personally.
It's really good.
You should read it. It's a good book.
There's so many books I should read, but budget and time dictate otherwise.
Though personally, I am sad that Death of Antagonist didn't get through, because I wanted that one to be republished.
Yeah, really like Death of Antagonist. I have read.
I think I voted for, was Drachenfels one of the fantasy options?
Yeah, I think it was.
But I also voted Storm of Iron, so I get 1 win out of 2, so I won't complain.
Give some.
Bing. And from old stories to new, Kill Team Rogue Trader. Well, speaking of old things coming back and old lore to new. So we get the background story for Kill Team Rogue Trader, in case you missed it. So, Gilliman has created a huge amount of new Rogue Trader houses, or more accurately, gathered 100 of them up and sent them out again. Which is good of him, I guess.
I was going to say, how can you create new when the warrant of trade has to be, signed in the blood of the Emperor?
Well, the warrant of trade, yes, but there's a new one now. There's a temporary one that's issued by the High Lords. That means it can be retracted later. What's it called? Give me a sec, I'll go and find its name.
The one going around for a bit and stealing other people's stuff.
The Letters of Mark. Those. So he didn't create any new houses, but he sent 100 of them off to get more stuff. And then the Gellerfield generator got infected by Nurgle.
Leading to the Gellerpox.
Indeed. Admittedly, the first time I read that little passage, I thought the Gellerfield got infected, but that didn't seem right.
Well, don't forget, there was that Tau who touched a Gellerfield generator and then got possessed by a demon of Zinch.
Yes, but there's...
So, if a Zinch demon can get into a Gellerfield generator, I'm pretty sure a Nurgle one can as well.
Yeah, but I misread it as the field got infected, not the generator.
Yeah, right, sorry, my bad.
That was my misread.
Right.
But yes. It's an interesting one, and I think it's good to see. It makes sense as well, because we've seen Nurgle slip into Gellerfield issues before a lot. It's kind of 101. Something goes wrong in the warp. It's probably Nurgle.
Pretty much, yeah. Trying to think who else makes things go wrong in Gellerfield. It's always Nurgle, actually. Because I remember in Watchers in the Throne, there was those weird little baby demons that had oversized mouths whose breath was said to smell of poo. Well, it had a feculent stench, which is, it smells like poo.
Yeah, and then of course there's Flight of the Eisenstein. The classic Gellerfield failure leads to Nurgle.
Yep. And then there was the one from Path of Heaven when it was Slanesh for whatever reason.
The exception that proves the rule.
True, yes.
But Rogue Trader did not stay confined to its own game, because we got 2 baby codices.
Does that mean you have rules for the good boy?
Yes, there are rules for the dog.
Yay.
It has 1 wound, toughness 3, 6 up save, and has 2 attacks. And that's you ignore its death for the purposes of morale checks.
Nah, it should make everyone go into frenzy or something. It's like, you shot the dog! Ah!
It should be the opposite, surely. That's the most demoralizing thing that could possibly happen to
Exactly,
anyone.
it should make everyone get very angry. So if the dog dies, everyone must charge the nearest enemy unit and they get double attacks.
I seem to remember there was a minor panic online because the first Warhammer community article about the Rogue Trader models didn't include the dog. The dog being retconned because there was an image of it that was, leaked months ago. Yeah, but then there suddenly didn't seem to be any rules for it, and people were panicking about the dog, but no, he is in there, don't worry.
Yeah, the dog caused a bit of a meltdown on several occasions.
Next up, Codex Good Boys. It's all dogs. An all-dog army. And Michael's just collapsed on his microphone already. My work is done.
First head desk in the new setup. But what we also learned for the warrant of trade, at least in the rules, is you can go onto any transport you like.
Oh,
that's what it. So they can go onto any Imperium transport, even if they would normally not be faction keywords.
Would they still be allowed to use Xenos tech and have Xenos crew like with regular rogue traders or not?
I don't know about all of them, but the squad that we got the data sheet for does not have a non-Imperial gun. It has a rotor cannon and an artificer shotgun, which is a damage 2 shotgun that actually works like a shotgun. It's actually more powerful at close range because it's a shotgun. Thank you.
Nice.
And a concussion grenade that's +1 strength and damage next to terrain. Okay, interesting.
Makes sense.
Yeah. On the other hand, you have the Gellerpox infected. So what have they got going for them?
A lot of fat boys.
3.
Yeah. It should have been 7. They should have had 7 fat boys for the sacred number of Nurgle.
They got 7 smaller ones, I think.
Well, there you go then. That's okay then.
Yeah. I think. But yeah, they're a really nice set of models. It's just, I don't know if I wanted them in the main game, if that makes sense. I don't know, it's just more stuff for Nurgle and more baby Imperium codices. Yay.
Yes, what we need is Codex Sons of Malice. That's what we need.
God damn it, Remleiz.
Malice best Chaos God. And that's twice he's head desked.
No, that was me putting my bottle back down on the desk. That was desk.
Of course it was.
Shut up. What else?
Well, coming later on this month from Black Library, we have Blood of Iax, Robbie's new book. So do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Sure thing. It's basically a blood and guts, ground up story about a demi company of Ultramarines Primaris who are deployed to a hive world, Orc War. And the basic premise is that it's Dark Imperium flipped on its head. So if Dark Imperium is the top-down view of Gilliman's return and what's become of the Imperium in his absence and how he deals with that, Blood of Iax is 5 squads of Ultramarines, Ultramarine Primaris, at the leading edge of the Indomitus Crusades. It's not given an exact date, but it's roughly so close to the current timeline, bearing in mind there's been about a century between the events of the Gathering Storm and the sort of the present day.
Yeah.
The added conceit is that the 2 main characters are blood brothers, so they are the unusual of random people that were, inducted into the Ultramarines and then became brothers through the shared gene seed. They were actually born as human siblings and then both managed to survive the trials to become, and one is an apothecary and one is a chaplain, so they're kind of divergent. So that's a basic overview.
Very nice.
I must say the special edition of that looks very nice. I'm going to have to get that. Though strangely enough, the French version of it's already out, apparently.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I got a crate which contains the hardbacks for Blood of Iax in English, but then also, I think, a French and a German one.
Fair enough.
In softback. So I was like,
was it a challenge or a different approach writing Primaris as opposed to Classic Astartes? Or do you take them the same way?
It is a challenge, and you do have to... I mean, the challenge is in emphasizing the differences, because I think it would be quite easy to slip into, this is a Space Marine novel, so Space Marines, right?
Yeah.
Step back occasionally and say, actually, this isn't just Space Marines. We have to emphasize what Primaris are and how they're different to regular Astartes. I didn't have as much of a job doing that because it doesn't actually feature any regular Space Marines. This is specifically a demi-company purely of Primaris Ultramarines. And so you don't have, which you see in other novels, where they're sort of having to interact with regular Space Marines. Later on, maybe, but at the moment it's just purely Primaris. And we get to establish how they differ in their own worldview, but also how they're viewed differently by around them, so the Imperial Guard, in this case, the Orcs. I think the interesting thing is that we kind of came to the conclusion that other humans and Imperial Guardsmen wouldn't necessarily, and regular Astartes is very different. They're a giant power-armored super warrior.
Yeah.
Primaris are a bit bigger, but they're still incredibly awe-inspiring. Whereas if size is the most important thing, so Primaris are suddenly these incredible, this new enemy that they're really desperate to face and fight because they've heard about these super-duper Space Marines that are even bigger than the other ones, and that to an Orc is just incredible. So Orcs actually are probably more interested in Primaris, perhaps.
Yeah, because if you're a guardsman, what difference does it make if you've never seen a Space Marine, just heard of the massive power-armored giants? What does it matter if they're 8 feet tall or 10 feet tall? What does it matter if they have a bolt gun that looks like something your sergeant carries around, or one that looks like it just rolled straight out of Mars? What do they care? How would they even know?
And obviously, to an Orc, the bigger you are, the more powerful you are. It's like, oh, good fight.
That was what we realized. That's probably what would go through an Orc's head when he sees the Primaris compared to a normal Space Marine. Oh, an even bigger challenge.
Yeah.
Because the only other thing I've seen in regards to people interacting with Primaris Marines is probably in, say, Shroud of Night, when the Alpha Legion first lay their eyes on Imperial Fist Primaris, and they're like, do they look bigger than normal?
That's a reasonable reaction.
There's an interesting way that, the way different factions when they first. And I think that part of the central plot around Blood of Arx revolves around how the Orc warlord in charge of the war, as he's a unique character in so much as he, his basis was, we call him Franken-Orc, because he's kind of like Frankenstein's monster. He's sewn together from bits of other Orc by a pain boy.
That sounds metal.
Like an experiment, except now he's in charge and the pain boy serves him. But his problem is that he's kind of constantly falling apart a bit and has to get sewn back up again all the time. And he's searching for a way to stop this and become sort of a fully fledged real Orc, if you will. To say,
I'm liking where this is going.
Yes.
Primaris Apothecary seems like a gift from heaven to him. So that's, without going any further, that's pretty sort of spoiler heavy as it is.
Yeah, we appreciate that you can't give everything away.
Yeah, but that's one of several sort of central plot arcs within the novel.
Fair enough. Does sound, because Primaris up to now have always been, it's like War of Secrets, which is the last one in the Conquest series.
Well, second just because there was one after that, wasn't there? There was Blood and Iron, I think it was.
I thought Blood of Ajax was the next one.
No. In the Conquest series, there was an Ultramarine one after War of Secrets. It came out like a couple of weeks ago.
Oops, missed that.
It's also about Ultramarines Primaris. It's by Ian St. Martin.
Yeah. No.
Honor and Iron.
Honor and Iron.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought Blood of Ajax was the next Conquest.
Blood of Ajax isn't actually technically a part of the Conquest series. I have no idea how they decide what is and isn't, but it's its own thing, apparently.
Fair.
But
in Wars... Oh, sorry, go on.
No, you can first.
But in War of Secrets, it's Primaris Dark Angels just learning about being accepted by the Dark Angels and fitting in, all whilst everything's going to hell around them, and the Fallen show up. And it is such a different dynamic Whereas the Ultramarines, it's, oh, well, Gilliman said so, therefore we just go with it.
Yeah.
Different again.
Yeah, it was, I think, also Ashes of Prospero were both very important because a lot of people wondered how Primaris would fit in with the chapters with more unique cultures. So, for example, Dark Angels and Space Wolves are fairly obvious. You might not take to Primaris. So I think it's great that he tackles those questions head on with those novels. The Ultramarines, it's a bit more cut and dried. But there are still issues in there between... In the novel, there's a divide between the Ultramarines who are obviously ecstatic that Gilliman is back and those who are a bit more hidebound when it comes to the classic idea of you have to follow the Codex.
The Calgo loyalist.
Yeah, exactly. When, he comes back and is suddenly changing everything, and the question is, well, we've been adhering to these long... It doesn't happen overnight that you just drop that sort of dogma. So that's explored a little bit in the novel as well.
Oh, one thing I wanted to ask, because I've been trying to get an answer from a few Black Library authors, and no one seems to have an answer, at the very least one they can't really give. But when the Primaris were first announced on Warhammer TV, and they did the little interview thing about the design and all that, and they said how some Space Marines can be upgraded to Primaris, how does that work?
I'm going to be just like all the other ones and say, I have no idea. Genuinely, I saw that video as well. Natural response when people asked me was to say, well, yeah, they say in the lore video that they can be upgraded. But then I think it was very briefly mentioned that actually that's, and beyond the fact that might not now be the case, I have no idea. We've not been sort of told or anything, but I don't think there is an answer out there. I'm sure there will be in the future, but I think it's one of these things that the design team is trying to take its time over and doesn't necessarily want to early on. So, there is no definitive answer as far as I'm aware.
That's fair enough.
And speaking of going back to the topic of series, are there any plans for the third novel in the Kakarodon series?
Not yet. I'm kind of on pause at the moment because I'm just finishing up my PhD. So I've got about 6 months left, and I'm kind of just trying to focus on getting the work for that finished up. I'm also my first ever standalone novel, in so much as it's not full Black Library. It's a sci-fi setting.
Ooh.
Sort of have come up with myself, and hoping that sells, but that's sort of my current project. Needless to say, I'd love to get back on with Black Library work in the near future, but at the exact moment in time, no, I can't say there's nothing in the pipeline for more Sharks.
That's fair enough.
If and when I did get back to it, then they would be my top priority, that's for sure.
That's totally fair. Because the Carcharodons, I think you turned the Carcharodons from a sort of side joke into an army of super badasses.
I was quite chuffed. I saw that Warhammer TV did a little video a couple of days ago for how to convert Carcharodons. Is it the Zangor, the Beastmen?
Yeah.
The Zinchian ones.
Yeah, the Zangors,
swords. They use the chain swords from them because they're quite sort of vicious but ornate and fancy at the same time. So they clipped them and made a little Carcharodon. And I thought that was pretty cool because, like you say, I think but the increase I've seen in Carcharodon armies on the tabletop in the past year has just been phenomenal. So that's always fun to see.
Yeah.
I guess you could say it's even jawsome.
Fuck off, Remleiz.
It had to be so at least once.
No, it didn't. Fine. Is there any...
I was going to say, you clearly never watched Street Sharks when you were younger, did you?
I've never heard of it.
Go and educate yourself after this recording.
I honestly had never seen Street Sharks, but for some reason as a kid I had a Street Sharks toy, and I didn't know what it was. I know what it is now, needless to say.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And I guess one of the other obvious things that you could probably get asked all the time is there any character you either write or want someone else to write so you can learn more about them?
I've been pretty lucky because they've let me write some really cool characters. The first thing that I ever wrote for Black Library was Legacy of Russ, which was right in the midst of the Warzone Fenris phase, where I got to write basically all the Space Wolf Wolf Lords, which was a lot of fun. There is another character that I always wanted to write, been allowed to write, who I can't talk about, but when at a completely undisclosed. I'm not saying anything.
So I'm on a quest to have someone from Black Library write a Ghazghkull Thraka origin novel.
Primarily Guy Haley.
Yeah, he would nail it so well. Yeah, I wouldn't dare if he, it's not Ghazghkull. This other character who is very cool, and it's a big honor to have been able to write that one.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I'm not sure offhand. I mean, getting to write Tiberius was also very cool in Outer Dark.
Yeah, I can imagine.
He should totally get a Space Marine Legends novel to himself. But that's, a future project, if ever.
Yeah, just because we've had authors on before who have said, God, I'd love to see a book on X, but I wouldn't dare write it myself. I want someone else to write it, read it.
And that's the Ghazghkull one for me.
That's fair enough.
And also, did we talk about the Black Library Weekender?
No, that's been announced. That's in November, early November, yes.
Yes, that's the Belfry Hotel in Nottingham. And
yes,
quite a few people have been announced for this. Quite a lot of people, including Brian Blessed.
Yes, because Gottschalk and Felix.
Yes, he was the perfect voice for that, let's be honest.
They have such amazing casting. I was so excited when I found out he was doing that.
That's totally understandable.
Yes, and you can get a whole bunch of stuff early from there, such as the new Visions of Heresy, Titan Death, Black Pyramid, Hubris of Monarchia, Realm Slayer, the new Gaunt's Ghost, and one thing I do want to talk about very briefly, Spear of the Emperor by Aaron Dembski-Bowden, the limited edition for that, which seemingly comes with not only the novel, but also data cards, transfer sheet, and a mini codex thing, which I think is absolutely amazing. If more obscure chapters are getting a little mini codex in a special edition novel, I think that's really cool.
So cool.
Definitely unique. I think it might have been better to do it with a semi-established chapter, because the Spear of the Emperor are Primaris.
Not all of them, no.
Are they not? I thought they were brand new.
No, they have been around. They were in the in one of the old How to Paint Space Marine guides, I think.
Ah.
So it's just a very, very obscure chapter, which is Spears of the Emperor Spears. They're blue and have a trident as their symbol. That's it, essentially.
Yeah. I think they could have done it with a chapter like the Carcharodons, who have some established heroes, some established how they work, aside from literally one book and and two sentences. I don't know. I feel like it's a really nice touch. I agree. I just think they could have done it with an established chapter if they wanted to try and excite people.
I kind of disagree. I think giving it a more obscure or lesser known chapter is a better idea, because that way everything's going to be new and fresh. You don't know what you're kind of expecting. Yeah, and it also gives a chapter that's only existed as a name and picture, it gives them some much needed established lore.
You can do that with a novel. You don't. I just think, in terms of getting people to actually collect them, it helps if there's more to draw on for homebrewing purposes. If there's a mini series out there already, or they were in a campaign book sometime,
Yeah,
or
I
they
can
got
see where
mentioned.
you're coming from.
But yeah, I get your argument as well. That it gives a complete nobody a real chance to
Shine.
get, to shine, to get some love.
You know what this means, though? You know what this means? We need someone to write a novel on squats. So we can have a squat codex. Let me dream, damn it.
To be fair, if you had your way, every single Xenos you've ever covered and every single abhuman you've ever covered get their own codex, because I just know you.
It's Codex the Hardween.
I mean, where's Codex Kroot? Come on.
We need that.
Yes, we do.
That's no idea. How about a novel from the Kroot perspective? Just purely a Kroot novel.
And I've forgotten it. Oh, yes.
I guess. I think everyone has like their favorite Xenos race that they wish. Like I think is it the Corlid, the bugs? From like this, I think they've got a swarm world is what their home world is called, and I always thought they sounded cool.
Yeah.
I've name dropped them a bunch of times, but I've never actually written about them. So and all the other things.
It's always nice when someone gets name dropped because people can go like, I remember that.
And then we jump back to your Blackstone Fortress rant from last week.
Oh, God, yeah. Back when they changed the character's name to Janus Drake, it's like, you should have called it Janus Dark so you could have tied it into Farseer.
Close. So close.
So close. You're on the verge of greatness. You are this close.
And then you fucked it up. But regardless, and the most just jumping back to the news for a moment, that will be honours pretty soon is the Beasts of Chaos. Beastmen are back, baby.
So that's what that giant flaming cow spell was for.
Yeah, it wasn't Chaos Dwarves. It was Beastmen of all things. I mean, that was my next guess, but
Flaming
still,
Bull, Chaos
really?
Dwarves. It had Hashut written all over it.
It really did. It really, really did.
Then comes with a new law. Beastmen now worship Hashut.
I mean, they get marks of chaos again, so
Oh, that's good.
flip knows. Yeah, they get their marks back, and they actually stuck Beastmen or baby Beastmen and Minotaurs back together again, and then added in Dragon Ogres and like the Chimera, the Cockatrice, and stuff for good measure.
Question. Beastmen are getting marks of chaos. Since the Great Horned Rat is now a major chaos god, does that mean they can take the mark of the Great Horned Rat?
We don't know. It's not out yet. Patience.
Skaven Beastmen. Is that rat cows?
Well, I mean, Zangors and Pestigors are in there, so... Well, Zangors definitely are.
So what are they called? Rat gores?
I have no idea.
Even Beastmen anyway? I mean, they're not technically, but they kind of are.
They're...
If you lived in the Empire, they were.
I mean, if you lived in the Empire, they didn't exist.
There's no such thing as Skaven. Ignore that's just a rat. A 6-foot-tall rat, but still a rat.
Exactly.
It was swamp gas. A wizard did it. And back then you could argue a wizard did it, and then they get executed for heresy or something. Being a witch.
Yeah, the Empire was not great, but there's actually some interesting developments with that book. I don't know how well either of you are on your Age of Sigmar, particularly, but we did learn a little bit about the origin. So, Dragon Ogres used to be the original inhabitants of where Sigmar lives now, and he threw them all out.
Oh dear.
Pickle Sigmar.
Sigmar's a dick, but hey.
But is he as much of a dick as the Emperor?
He's going... I'm worried they're going to turn him into the Emperor. I am worried.
Sigmar is the Emperor confirmed. They're the same universe, guys, ladies and gentlemen. It's all over now. It's all the same universe. Warhammer 40,000 Age of Emperor. There we go.
Isn't that just what people called 8th edition?
Pretty much.
Oh, well.
8th edition's good, though. I like everything in it. Well, I like most things in it so far. Maybe not everything, but I like a lot of things with it.
Yeah, I can't complain much about 8th edition. Certainly nothing as much as 7th.
Oh, that was just complicated. That was overly complicated for the sake of overly complicated. But anyway.
Yeah. But, yeah, it's fine.
So I'm just a cranky old man who's been around since second.
And to be fair, I've seen through 10 years of the hobby now, so I'm not exactly old, but I'm more of a vet than probably most people, half the people listening.
Just in between.
Oh,
Third edition was my first one.
that was a good edition, third edition.
I loved it when I was a kid. I think I started when I was about 8 years old.
Yeah. What did you play?
I had Imperial Guard for 40k, and then for fantasy, I started out with Vampire Counts.
Nice.
Just bought everything Skaven and Chaosy. So I was delighted in Age of Sigmar when they combined Chaos and Skaven. Do best of both worlds then. But yeah, Chaos ended up being my main stuff, just all sorts, warriors, demons, beastmen, the whole shebang. So
Yeah, that's fair. I guess, I mean, I'm doing a master this year, so I know doing a PhD plus being a full-time author must take up most of your time, so you probably don't get much time to...
Every couple of months, I'm like, should really paint some models and like play some games. That's always fun. And it just doesn't happen. Like, no matter how hard I try.
Yeah,
We've all
2
been
years, I've managed
we've
to
all been there.
save Light Kings, which I loved painting. They're so much fun to paint. Yes, no, maybe one day the Maggotkin army will materialize, but
Yeah, I played a lot against Maggotkin with my Stormcast, and to slightly pun, I'm kind of sick of them.
yeah, they seem to be very tough. That seems to be the vibe.
Yeah, here's Blight Kings. Hey, they have 5 wounds a guide and also healing, and also magic that gives them more healing. And did I mention that they have like D6 attacks each that generate, or a bunch of attacks that generate more attacks when they hit? And it's just like, ow.
Which is a great incentive for me to start Light Kings, but eventually.
I mean, to be fair, Mortal Nurgle is the weak version. Demons are way stronger because they get the disgustingly resilience, and Maggotkin don't. And sorry, Vikings don't.
Yeah.
But hey, what can you do?
Indeed.
And speaking, no, I was going to say, I can't segue into this. There is no segue. Board Game Monopoly came out in America.
Oh,
I have no
that was a
segue.
thing,
I'm
wasn't
sorry.
it?
Yeah, I have no segue for that. I'm sorry.
Monopoly doesn't need a segue.
You just go, Monopoly? And everyone goes, all right. Then someone buys Mayfair and accuses you of cheating, then a punch-up breaks up, and then everyone's miserable for the rest of the day.
Well, in this case, Mayfair is terror itself.
Makes sense.
Also, it's interesting what they put where.
Oh.
So, Sisters of Battle got the brown section.
Oh.
Tower the light blues.
Right.
Garda on pink. Miscellaneous on orange, including Necromunda and Icar 4. So, Hive Worlds, I guess. Chaos is on red, including Sortiarius and the Plague Planet.
Right.
The Space Marines are on yellow, though Ultramar gets its own segment, whereas Fenris and Baal, so it's not Macragge, it's Ultramar.
Oh. Right.
The Orcs get green, because of course they do, though it's Armageddon, a Orca.
It was Armageddon what, sorry?
A rock.
A rock.
A rock.
A rock. So I got a rock. Sorry.
And then it's Titan and Terra to finish. Not Mars, Titan.
Yeah, that's surprising. You think it would be Mars, considering, second most important planet in the Imperium.
Yeah. Actually, no, the reason that it isn't Mars is because Mars is Mars is water and Metallica is electric. I guess. And then craft worlds for stations. There's something had to be.
Jail, I'm assuming.
Don't change. No, they don't change the four corners.
Oh, so jail is just jail.
Yeah.
You had the opportunity for Lost in the Warp and you didn't take it. God's sake.
Yeah, and free parking. It's still the stupid fucking red car for free parking.
At least make it like, a rhino or something.
I mean, I get it that it's clearer for not 40k people, but I mean, come on.
Oh, well, never mind.
As for the player tiles, you get a Ripper, a Monolith, a Primaris helmet,
Or
the
is it
8-pointed... I think it's Primaris, but it might be Mark 4.
just to be pedantic.
A Chaos Star. Yeah, the Star of Chaos, a Chopper, and the symbol of Craft World. Oh, is that the world right? Is that Simhan? I can't even tell what rune that is.
Simhan is the snake. Ilfway is the eye.
No, it's not Simhan. It's. I'll just put it in the.
Bieltan was the heart.
No, it's none of those. It turns out.
Elatok was the sword. That's the rune of Cain, isn't it?
I was going to say, is that not the new rune for the thing that's not an hour?
Really? No. When I think of Cain, I think of my Dark Elf.
Iliad has the infinity sign in it as well, I think.
Is it that?
I recognise the rune, but I can't place it.
I think it's the rune of Cain.
I think it's just because the Cain rune I know is the one my Dark Elf, and it's nothing like that at all.
No, it's not. No, it's not the rune of Cain. No.
It reminds me of what gets. This is why I said Simhan, even though I know that's wrong.
Yeah, Simhan was the snake. It's not. It's not Iliad.
Yeah, it's similar to Iliad's, but it isn't quite the same.
Yeah, because Iliad has another bar of lines in it and the infinity symbol above it. What is that?
It's bothering me a lot right now.
Elderology study is going on right now.
Yeah, I've genuinely Googled Eldar. This.
Right, let's look at the runes. It's an Autark rune. I think it's an Autark rune.
That's what
yes, it is.
That's what Google's telling me.
It is. It's the Autark rune.
What a weird choice, using an Autark rune. You think it would be, either Craft World or something, like, at least, like, Craft World Wolfway or something,
The Craft Worlds are the stations. So it can't...
Or the rune of Cain at least, then,
It is a little surprising, but hey.
Yeah.
Also, I love how the Necrons get a monolith and the Tau and the Tyranids get a Ripper. The Necrons don't get a Scarab, they get a monolith.
No, that just shows that the Ripper can take on a monolith by itself. It's the power
The
scale.
size of the Ripper, then the size comparison, then the Ripper could take the monolith.
Oh.
And the Orcs just got a chopper.
Well, what else could they really use apart from maybe the big oversized underjaw thing? I don't know. Maybe they could have gone for Evil Sun or Bad Moon or the Goth symbol or something.
Or a grot.
A snot.
A squig.
No, Squig would look too much like a Ripper though, wouldn't it?
You have a point. What about a flying squig? Because they exist
the
in
Squidgen.
Shadespire.
The Squidgen.
Yeah. The Squidgen.
Oh, I just realised. Maybe it's the Ripper's meant to be the dog, the Monolith's meant to be the car, maybe the Chopper's meant to be the boot. I don't know.
You've got the top hat.
Yeah, the helmet's the top hat.
And then you've got, what are the other ones? The thimble, the boat, and I think that's all of them. I haven't played Monopoly in so long.
It always ends in a punch-up. And if it doesn't end in a punch-up, you're playing Monopoly wrong.
Yeah, I mean, we've never had it end in a punch-up. I mean, it probably should have ended in a punch-up, but it never has.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Indeed, oh dear.
I do believe it might be time for questions.
Yes, let me just quickly...
And I think there were some questions sent for Robbie to answer.
Yes, we there's a couple, because we announced ahead of time that you were... So, we're glad you remembered. Right, let's have a look. Nope.
Are you skipping the memes again, are you?
I always skip the memes, you know me. Okay. How common are melter weapons in 40k's lore? Are they difficult to manufacture or something? They seem to be much rarer than plasma. I hope that got through.
I don't think there's really a question of rarity. I think it's just more maybe ease of manufacture or personal preference, maybe?
I mean, I think it probably depends on which chapter you ask, because the Dark Angels are much better known
The Dark
and
Angels
use
are
plasma.
they're plasma happy. Whereas
Yeah, but-
someone say, like, say the Salamanders, there'll be more heavy flamers and multi-melters.
But there's less stuff written about the Salamanders. So maybe it's just perception?
Possibly.
Or it could be because the Primaris Hellblasters get plasma.
Yeah, it's their plasma weapons, aren't they?
Yeah, the Incinerator? Plasma Incinerator, I want to say.
It's to do with the fact that melters just have less utility because they're shorter ranged. I mean, the normal melter is
12-inch versus 24, yeah.
the multi-melter obviously is more effective, but is also presumably heavier and harder to manufacture. So
Yeah.
True.
Basically, you take it and use it more like a shotgun for close range. It's a close range microwave shotgun.
exactly. So I guess it
microwave shotgun.
could be rarer based on the fact that it's just slightly less useful.
Yeah. Yeah, possibly. Okay. So, this is primarily from Remleiz, but everybody chip in. According to Ruinstorm, Horus's fall is a fulcrum of destiny that wasn't always set in stone. Does that tally? Just before I go on?
It rings a bell, yes. It's been a while since I read the book, a few weeks, so it does ring a bell, though.
So, working on this,
Excuse me.
if everything remained the same up to Davin, but Horus said no, what do you think would have sort of followed that up?
I think if Horus said no at Davin, if Horus managed to recover from his wound, I think the first thing we would have done would have been kick the shit out of Erebus.
Yeah. That the Chaos Gods healed him.
Yes, I don't think he might have actually died if he said no. To be honest. And then someone like, oh, Horus is dead. We need a new War Master. They pass it on to Rogel Dawn, who says we have to have tacos on Tuesdays, and then the Dawnian heresy began.
The whole Magnus affair also doesn't happen.
Well,
At all.
Well, don't forget Magnus jumped in before Horus actually made a decision. Because Magnus came in and said, "You really don't want to."
Yes,
do
but
this.
I mean,
you want to stay long?"
I meant the whole screwing up the Webway project bit that led to the burning of Prospero
sorry,
bit.
my bad. Yes, I understand now. Yes,
But yeah, maybe
but that means we won't have these delicious memes of don't fuck up, and Magnus going, "Wow, this looks hard."
Magnus is the easiest meme.
Yes. Oh, Robbie, in your opinion, did Magnus do anything wrong? In your opinion?
End of conversation.
That was easy.
And I've seen it play out before. You have an opinion on it, and it's best just to state it.
That's a very smart answer.
Very diplomatic.
Yeah.
Right, I will simply state my stance.
Good. Okay, question here for you, Robbie. Given the ending to The Last Hunt, what are your hopes, if you have any, in furthering the plot for the White Scars Fourth Brotherhood, if there are any, and if you're able to talk about it at all?
I would like to continue their story. There are no current plans, and like I said, if I go back to writing, then it would probably be Sharky's first and foremost.
Yes.
I enjoyed. Well, at the time, The Last Hunt was actually quite difficult to write because I won't spoiler it. The elements of the plot are kind of convoluted, so I had to do quite a lot of edits to make sure it actually all made sense in the end. My editor was great for that one, and it's a fairly tough project. But looking back on it, I'm actually quite satisfied with it.
I thought it was a good book.
Those things where you maybe struggled a bit at the time, but when you look back, you only have happy memories. So, yeah, I actually would very much like to continue current timeline. To get prepped for it, I read all of Chris Wright's Horus Heresy Scars, and I just love those books so much. They're probably in the Heresy.
Yeah, that makes sense. One thing that I had with White Scars is I've just been doing some reading on Corsaro, who, of course, is Master of the Hunt. But Master of the Hunt is supposed to be the captain of the Fourth, and I can't know why Joe Garton isn't Hunt Master, and why Corsaro kept it. Obviously, I don't believe you addressed. I don't know why it is the case that he's not Master of the Hunt when he, by law, should be. I don't know. It's just weird.
Sure, either. When I first started with the Scars, I didn't want to write about him because he was sort of the fulcrum behind all of the 40k White Scars adventures, really.
Yeah.
Short stories and stuff he features in, and novellas where he's fighting the tower and stuff. And it could have been easy to carry on his tale, but I break new ground, as it were, and go off with a different brotherhood.
Yeah, I understand that. It was just a weird thing. It was like, he must have been fourth captain because that's the only way to get Master of the Hunt, and then he kept it when he moved to the third. What the hell gives?
Yeah, I'm not sure how those wires got crossed, but maybe something to bear in mind for the future.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm sure if Jagata and Corstaro cross paths, there'll be I want my title back.
Be pretty badass.
The only thing that I was really confused about in regards to The Last Hunt is that the High Fleet was described as having like black carapaces and skin, and on the cover it's Kraken.
Oh yeah, that's just a classic case of not liaising closely enough with the art department. I should have probably specified that description was different. I don't remember how I came to choose what colours the High Fleet would be, but yeah, they ended up being Kraken just by default, I assume.
Fair enough.
Fairs. Okay. A Primaris question. This should be interesting. As seen with the Blood Angels and the Space Fleet floors after being deployed, we've seen...
Sorry, you cut out for a second. All I heard was as with the Blood Angels and the Space.
Oh, so the Blood Angels and Space Wolves Primaris have both succumbed to their gene seed flaws-ish.
The Space Wolves, because of the Wolf, and yes, the Blood Angels...
It's on the ish.
The Blood Angels, I will stand by saying no, because the COVID incident was never actually said of being the Red First or the Black Rage. It was just them being extremely vicious and combating. Corby was like, Dante!
Yeah, hence the ish. What they're saying is the idea of things like the Black Dragons and their mutations, or the Excoriator's darkness. Do you expect that all the Primaris will eventually go, even in the more stable GNC chapters like the Ultramarines?
I don't necessarily think so, because again, we've only got a 0.004% chance of that happening. So yeah, there is always a statistical chance that some Primaris will succumb to GNC flaws, but I think overall the majority won't. That's at least my opinion. But there's always a statistical chance of it happening.
I think one Black Dragon Primaris going Dragon Claw will basically never die.
I want to see a Black Dragon, how big a Black Dragon Primaris succumbing to its gene seed flaws will grow, considering that, normal Black Dragons are supposed to be as big as Primaris.
Yeah.
So how big will a Primaris one be? Be Primarch-sized?
Hang on. There's certain people who will talk about Primarchs. Shh.
Oh, yeah. So, moving on, next question.
Are Whisper Cutters still created and utilized by Thorax post-second founding? What's a Whisper?
Yeah, you've got me on that one. No?
What? I've never heard of Whisper Cutters. I'm guessing that they're a ship of some sort?
Sounds like a helicopter.
No. Yeah, I don't know, I'm afraid. I can't say I've heard of it. Sorry.
Okay, then.
Okay. Lightning strikes, which is the teleporty thing, are standard operating practice during fleet actions in UK. As such, beyond the rule of cool, is there any particular reason why they don't just send a nuke instead of a boarding party?
Probably to try and capture the ship and make sure it's still intact so they can use it, considering that ships are generally very expensive to make and very rare in some cases, depending on the classes.
I suppose, but if it's just a random escort, not...
I mean, I know that's what the Night Lords do. The Night Lords will they'll board a ship, kill the soldiers on board, and take command of it. It's like, right, this is ours now.
Yeah, but that's for traitors who have no Forge World or creative resources of their own.
They have no Forge World, but the Dark Mechanicum hold Forge Worlds of their own.
Yeah, but it's not like the Space Marines who have a structure. Okay, we're a ship down. Can we get another one? Type system. It's you do the Dark Mechanicum. At
the same time, though, if you got say you're a Blood Angels strike cruiser and you see a Gloriana class cruiser, you're going to go, I want that. You're not going to try and blow up a Gloriana. You're going to try and nick it because you can't really make them anymore, can you? It makes the most sense to try and nick something, and therefore you don't have to waste time building one. You can just, put a new coat of paint on, patch up the holes, jobs are good.
Always, not to put my history hat on too much, but if 40k's Void Warfare is a mirror of 18th and 19th century naval warfare, the objective is normally to capture the ship. You could just sink it. It's a whole lot more if you can take one and, put it to good use, because like you say, I mean, even necessarily, just conjure them like nothing. I mean, Imperial Navy escorts are still quite powerful compared to trade-going ships in 40k. So
true, and even if you can't save the ship, i.e., it's too badly damaged or it's too corrupted, at least you can loot the damn thing, I guess.
There's always a use for something a few kilometres in size bristling with guns.
Touche.
True.
Okay. So, this is a follow-on from War of Secrets, I think. What are your predictions on the fate of the Angels of Absolution now that their chapter master knows that the Dark Angels tried having them killed?
I can imagine that causing a bit of a unforgiven civil war in a way. I can imagine. But at the same time, most of the unforgiven chads will probably go, acceptable losses, they knew too much.
Yeah, I think it just depends on how far they're willing to believe Azrael, I guess.
But at the same time, don't forget, it wasn't the chapter master who ordered the Angels of Absolution killed, it was the captain of the third company. If I recall correctly.
So maybe Azrael didn't know?
I believe that's the case, because pretty much everything done in War of Secrets was done by the third company captain, and the librarian attached to it, and the apothecary, etc. Mm-hmm. So I think might be a case of, the chapter master of the Angels of Absolution goes up to Azrael and goes, "What the fuck?" And Azrael's like, "What? So, why did you send a fucking tower to kill me? And I was like, what? Because there was a thing about the Dark Angels not wanting to work alongside Xenos or Abhumans. So I think Azra will be like, whose idea was it to work with the fish?
You may have a fair point there.
And then Gabriel, the third company, was like, shit. I'm going to be interrogated by Asmodee, aren't I?
Not only did they knock the Primaris into the inner circle, kind of, I also, worked with aliens against a successor. Yeah, I'm fucking dead now.
It's like, Azrael, the captain of the third company, is working with Xenos. Shut up, Belial. So, kind of an ongoing gag, I'm sorry.
I'm assuming you're across the memes that Remleiz refers to here.
I think so. I've seen a lot online, that's all I'm going to say.
Good enough. Okay, have any of you read Warlord Fury of the Omnissiah? If yes, thoughts?
I have not.
Neither have I.
I have the, if it's a book I'm thinking of, I have the limited edition, but I haven't actually read it yet.
Yeah, it's just one of those in the list of things I'd like to read but don't have.
Yes, I've been meaning to read Lords of Silence next, given some apparent revelations in that.
Yeah, that's why we're not talking about it today, is we haven't read it yet.
Yeah, so we can neither confirm nor deny apparent revelations within that book. But I have been reading Trial by Blood, and can I just say I love the scene where the Flesh Terrorist Chaplain is just torturing this Inquisitor, and the Inquisitor's going, "Oh, Emperor!" and the Chaplain's like, "Oh, he can't hear you." Crush.
Dear, oh dear.
Right, next question.
Yeah. Bum, bum, bum. That's a Ferris Manus crushing light question. I'm not going to read that for the sake of my sanity.
Oh, when he crushed the las cannon beam in his hands.
Yeah, that.
He's got magic fingers, what can we say? Even Eldrat Ulthuan said he had magic fingers. And I don't mean that in a euphemism way, by the way. I mean...
I know you don't, but the comments do.
It's not like we're talking about hive ships or anything. You know the hashtag, everyone.
Anyway, what is the sort of numbers population ratio for the Eldari? Is it more Dark, Craftworld, like Harlequin, like which has got the most, that sort of thing? Do we know? Or have any idea of a guess?
I think it might be the Drukhari, just because they can just clone each other.
Yeah, basically that.
I think they will have the most just because of that, more than anything else. I mean, also, Yandon still hasn't recovered from when they got attacked by High Fleet Kraken.
Bieltan broke.
Bieltan got broked. Ulfway's just Ulfway. Elaitok's just doing its own thing. Samehan is probably having a race with Jagatai Khan on the webway right now.
Dear, oh dear. But yeah, I think if you compared Trueborn Drukhari to Craftworlders, it'd be an interesting comparison, but the Drukhari win hands down because cloning.
Yeah. Vatborn, or whatever they're called. Is it Vatborn?
Yes, they are. They are growth fats with homunculi, yes.
Fair enough.
I wonder how long it'll take before the Inari overtake one. I guess we'll find out soon enough. Here's a fun one regarding Caradons. Do the Night Lords sleep with a nightlight on after their encounter with... That didn't get through there.
No.
Do the Night Lords sleep with a night light after their encounter with the Carcharodons?
If to tell the tale, definitely do.
enough.
What was that joke that Comrade Curse checks under his bed for the Kakarodons every night?
I like that. I'm going to steal that.
Good one. Okay, let's go with this one. What's happened to Space Marine bikers? Have Primarchs been gone so long they're forgetting how bikes? I'm guessing that's because there's no Primaris. People are thinking that bikes are going out of fashion or something. I don't know.
I have no idea. I would assume the White Scars Primaris would have bikes, just giant bikes.
Or jet bikes. I mean, come on.
Yeah, we all want jet bikes, don't we?
Yes.
And
yes, please.
The only person who seems to have them is Samael.
Well, actually, it's interesting.
I have the last one. It got blown up 75 times.
Yeah,
and it's definitely the same one. It's not.
Yeah,
we haven't got a big stockpile or an STC or anything.
Yes. Yeah, I was just about to mention that, but you beat me to it.
I mean, let's be honest. It is kind of dodgy that the one bike gets blown up all the time and it's perfectly good as new, next week's adventure.
Yeah, it's not a Saturday morning cartoon.
But it could be.
Annoyingly so.
Come on. Oh, wasn't there... That reminds me, actually. Wasn't there apparently a rumour of a 40k anime going around? That being in development or something, or at least in talks?
What?
I remember there was a thing on an anime news site a few weeks ago. Apparently, a major anime studio is in talks with Games Workshop for adapting 40k into an anime series. Now, if this ends up being something like, say, like Berserk or Attack on Titan or something like that, I think that could work really well.
If handled with tact, it might be okay.
I mean, all you got to do is look at the original series of Berserk, and just give that a Warhammer, coat of paint. Job's a good one. Considering, Guts and Griff are basically Ferrus, Manus, and Fulgrim. Like, literally.
Take your point. Though we have seen sometimes with anime, when it gets translated or whatever, some of the viscera gets lost.
Take your point, yeah. Which is why you watched the subbed version, not the dubbed version. I'm going to piss off some anime fans with that in the comments.
Yeah, you've probably pissed off a lot of anime. But
subs, not dubs.
Sure. That's kind of it for questions. But I'm not sure. Well, some of them just are memes, and some of them I don't know if there's really anything we can say to answer. Which is unfortunate. But if you do have a question, then let us know in the comments with the word question, as always, and we will endeavour, where possible, to answer them in a future episode.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, who else is looking forward to the fact that the next Primarch's book is Corax? Apparently no one.
Sorry. But...
Really? Okay.
Sorry, I have no interest in Corax at all. I'm just bored by him. I mean, how many novels are there now? There's Gilliman, Magnus, Lorgar,
Russ,
Perturaba, Manus, Jagtai,
Vulcan.
Well,
technically, Vulcan's his standard release one's not out yet, but his limited one's already come out. His standard release one comes out in October. Yeah,
so Vulcan, and then I said it and I forgot it. Fulgrim, that's it. So we're halfway through, and I don't know. I feel like they could have done someone far more interesting, because I don't find with Corax there's anything I want to know about him, whereas with Mortarion or Angron or even Dawn, I'd like to see what Dawn's life was like as he rose up on Inuit and became who he became. I don't know. That interests me. Corax doesn't.
Actually, you know how each of the Primarch novels has like a subtitle, like, you know, you got
Palatine, Phoenix, War, Gregorius.
Yeah. Rogel Dawn should be Rogel Dawn, Dawn to be wild. And it's basically just him traveling across his world on a motorbike for the entire story.
For goodness sake.
What?
Not puns, and then you just go for the lowest hanging fruit of puns.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Sure. Sure.
It's a time pass.
Exactly.
Yeah, I suppose. Do you have a preferred Legion or Primarch of yours, either that you've either written or read or whatever?
I mean, I got to write the Perturabo audio drama for, well, it's sort of part of the Primarch series, so that was a lot of fun. I picked him. For a start, I loved Hammer of Olympia. And yeah, I kind of... He's been pretty well fleshed out now as a character, but when I first started 40k, I was really fascinated by the Iron Warriors and their rivalry with the Imperial Fists, so I've always had a kind of a soft spot for both him and Dawn, and I wouldn't really like to pick sides, but yeah, I got some Perturabo stuff done, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's fair. I think a lot of people have come around to Perturabo of late, thanks to his novel.
I think it was really well written, sort of that balancing act where you kind of really stereotyped as a whiny kid, right?
Yeah.
More to it than that, which is good news.
Agreed.
Do you think that at any point in the future we might get more stuff pre-Great Crusade, like maybe during the Unification Wars?
Ever since they first started doing the heresy, for me that really like anything in the future, because heresy is such a foundational thing. When I was a kid, I never thought they would actually flesh it out to the extent that they have, and they've done it, and it's been brilliant. So I think that really anything could be on the cards for the future.
Yeah, I think maybe after they do Siege of Terror, it could be another mini, like War of the Beast or like the Siege of Terror. Not 50 novels again, but a few, just to give some context.
There's all sorts of in the background that they could tackle and sort of give dedicate a little series to. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some would argue have them tell us literally everything, because what's the fun in that? But
yeah, I doubt we're going to get a Lost Primarchs novel at any point in time. Let's be honest.
No. The references are a start, but I don't think we're going to get the whole down 9 yards with those two.
The question is, at this point, would you even want to? Because expectations are so damn high with regards to Lost Primarchs that nothing can ever fulfill it. Because I think literally the only clues we've got in recent years, at least, was from Josh Reynolds' novels.
Where, Palatine Phoenix
and Clone Lord. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't they could do anything. I don't see them ever doing the Missing Primarchs. But maybe apart from that, they can do anything.
Would you ever want to see, or at least see, or even write something like akin to a alternative universe, one-off book or anything, or anthology? What could have, what would have happened if this didn't take place, or this took place instead, kind of thing? Say, what if Horus turned down the position of War Master and Sanguinius took it up, for instance?
The only urge I've ever felt with that was pre Age of Sigmar, when, I don't know if you remember, but they started doing it was a Forge World series prior to Tamarkan, where it was about if the old world fell to chaos. And it was sort of a counterfactual invasion that succeeded and they destroyed the Empire and stuff. And at the time, that was crazy. I think they only managed to do one book in the series because then they decided to actually do it for real. And it doesn't seem as groundbreaking anymore. But back then, the idea that one of the settings could be almost completely destroyed seemed crazy. And I explore what that would be like. And then they did it. So
yeah. And then the Age of Sigmar happened.
Yeah. So I don't necessarily want to... Okay, in case it suddenly comes true.
Yeah, there was enough. Oh no, 40k end times. That got old very fast in the run up to 8 before we got Gilliman and all of that.
Yeah, like
people need to chill.
With the 13th Black Crusade, everyone was going, "Oh my God, it's the end times!" It's like this already happened in 3rd edition.
Wow.
we had the book about the 13th Black Crusade already. Then it just changed it and did it again. Also, that 13 Black Crusade book's a really good book.
It's one of my favorite, that style of background book. That and the Liber Chaotica are just so good.
Oh, yeah. I love the Liber Chaotica. That's also a really good book series.
I think it's probably my favorite Games Workshop book ever.
Would you ever want to write something more, like another Black Library book, akin to those kind of styles? Like, with Liber Chaotica, Xenology, those
books that aren't about anything.
Basically, non-novelized books, more like background reference type books.
I'd love to have done something like that. I've never really thought about it actually, but a PhD I do is military history, and so I'm pretty into obviously academic works.
Well, if you do it, could you do the Tau? Because for goodness sake, I know nothing about this aside from on the battlefield.
Maybe I was gonna do a more sort of. I mean, you've got Tactica Imperialis actually. That was the classic one for the Guard, where they explore 4 campaigns from Imperial Guard history and look at how they won it and stuff like that. And I found that really interesting. Thing with the Imperial Armor books, stuff like the Siege of Vrax and things like that, really going in depth into a campaign and making it like maxing out on the realism aspect of it as possible. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, that's fair. But the books like Vrax are stylistic. They're focused on the battlefield, even if they're told impersonally. Whereas books like the Liber Chaotica is nothing to do with the battlefield. It's kind of is that how I always think of it, an exploration. No, that's
it's like
the
a textbook.
version. Yeah, it's an exploration of itself, and
it's interesting because Chaos has such a philosophical side to it. So yeah, there's a lot of exploration. The thing that would worry me about doing something purely based on background is getting it right, which is actually kind of scary. The only real experience I've had of that where I was not given a free rein, but I was able to update the lore to an extent and expand it a bit. And I always felt that I didn't want to ruin what was already there. So
yeah, I get that.
Leave it to the professionals.
I mean, technically, that does.
I guess, but bow down before the power of the design team and just try and take what they make and make it even cool.
Yeah. Did you, obviously you're one of the younger members of Black Library if you're a PhD student, but did you mentor or work closely with you in the early days to sort of get you going? Or was it just sort of, here's the deep end, swim?
No, it wasn't a deep end situation. The editors were really helpful, and I didn't the editor that I worked with continuously over the course of, say, like 4 or 5 books. But for each one, they were really super helpful. And also, all of the other authors are so approachable. You can just, if you're having any questions or queries or anything like that, nearly all of them are really happy to help. I speak quite a lot with David Geimer because he was before me, if you will, that came in as new writers, published, and it's kind of been my generation followed on. So, I talked with him quite a lot just about things, writing things. I didn't really have like a mentor as such, but everyone involved from top to bottom have been really helpful.
Yeah, glad to hear it.
So yeah, it's really good.
And obviously everyone's got their own sort of styles, because when we had Josh Reynolds on, his sort of approach was kind of don't talk to anybody and just get on with it, from what I remember. So I can't quite remember Josh's method, but it was certainly a unique one.
I agree with that as well. I think that at the end of the day, you have to sit down and write the damn thing. So that would be me as well. But if certain point or character aspect where you're not so sure, then there's always people that you can go to and ask. And I mean, there's debate to be had as well, because obviously the lore shifts a bit, and how characters react can change in circumstances. So yeah, there's a very interesting internal dialogue during editor.
Yeah, I can just imagine. I'd love to be a fly on the wall in a Black Library discussion, planning or general meeting, just to try and glean as much insight as possible. That's why I love having authors on.
I had where they sort of described Arc Imperium Primaris and everything was mind blowing, because it wasn't public then. So that was in preparation for the White Scars novel, because it was originally just a normal 40k novel, but it was coming out at
the right time.
So I had to tweak it slightly to make it current 40k. So that was crazy. But lower tier stuff, I can't even imagine what stuff like the Siege of Terra planning is. That's just.
Oh, I'd love to be a fly on the wall in that meeting.
Of Aaron Dembski-Bowden's tweets about that, I was just like, wow. Recently about the latest meeting and just all the crazy. He didn't specify, obviously, but some of the crazy lore stuff that they've been discussing is just.
I can imagine you being quite tempted to send a tweet saying, "Go on, spill the beans. What's happening? Tell me."
I wouldn't dare.
Spoil the surprise. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
But it should be quite interesting when the Siege of Terra does drop. I wonder if they'll just do it like, say, the War of the Beast, and just have a straight line of 12 hardbacks, or if they actually do like with the Primarch series and release limited editions for each book in the series.
No, I've no idea. It's could go anyway. I don't really know how long. I don't know how long the series is going to be myself. So yeah.
I was going to. My wage will be 19. I would say 19. Well, maybe not 19. Maybe 13. Like every Legion plus Emperor was sort of my guess. So each Legion gets their own novel, and then they link together like that, rather than trying to tell the story of the wider battle. It's just this Legion and this Primarch is doing in the siege, because trying to follow a coherent thread is completely impossible, because it's such, well,
it'll end up being 20, because it'll be every Legion, plus the Emperor, plus Lanius Pius.
Well, not every Legion's there.
No, but you got to find out what... You still probably got to learn what everyone's doing on the ramp to it. Like, what's happening when the Ultramarines are fighting the Alpha Legion, trying to get to Terra, kind of thing, because that hasn't been touched on yet, has it?
True. I guess I'm a bit narrow-minded. It's just the battle itself, the siege on Terra. That's all I was thinking. I think this series would be, because
the Siege of Terra, you had the siege ongoing itself, and then you had the other loyalist legions trying to get to Terra and trying to fight their way through the traitor blockade, essentially.
True.
So you got a nice variety for things like ground battle, void battle, that kind of thing.
And they haven't really done the Solar War yet. I mean, they've done Pluto, and they did anything else in the Solar War about the various circles as they collapse.
Yeah. I mean, maybe the Siege of Terra will include all the stuff from the Solar War as well. We don't know yet.
Exactly. Too many questions and no answers yet. Damn it.
But it should be good.
Yeah. But we were saying several weeks or months ago, how are they going to take that on? How are they going to handle the responsibility to the siege? Well, they're taking that away now, and everybody gets a crack at it in their own way.
True.
Which I think is a good thing.
We'll have to decide who does the very last novel, though.
My money's on Aaron, I think.
I'd like to choose between those two and Abnett.
Also,
Abner would be a good
yeah.
choice.
We shall see, I suppose.
I mean, it could be Ian Watson.
Best.
Still remember David Geimer's Ian Watson comparison tweet. We felt so sorry for him that day.
Oh yeah. But again, playing devil's advocate, Ian Watson wasn't that bad an author. He was very, I'd say, repressed, given by some of his slashy descriptions and stuff. To be polite.
Yeah,
But he wasn't a bad author.
no.
I mean,
I don't remember his work being
I
bad.
enjoyed reading some of his stuff. So if you enjoy reading it, it's not bad. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's just not mainstream reading, if that makes sense. Never mind.
I suppose the correct term would be an acquired taste.
Yes. That's the word I should have been looking for.
And given the time, I believe we are coming to the end of this particular episode. So
We're aware it's not the longest, but I mean, if anyone's got a rant to throw in, anything that's been bugging them of late,
I'm very chill at the moment, so not really.
that's fair enough.
I haven't got a rant yet because I've been on holiday, so I haven't got anything to rant about.
Yeah, I particularly unfortunate. There's nothing.
Apart from the internet connection.
Yeah, there we go. I've been watching the little bars on my Discord go green, orange, and red all night, and it's just become. Will you just be stable? I can't imagine how badly it's come through, and I do.
To be honest, it's not as bad as last time. We apologise how it was last time. I think it was just Discord being Discord and doing updates at the same time or something.
Yeah, we weren't having a great day on it. At least this time it's just been bad internet rather than anything else.
Yeah.
But we'll try and get that fixed. Or we'll record separately and overlace it if we have the capacity to do that going forward.
Yes. So
Anyway, that's technical talk.
yes. So, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in this week to listen to the episode, and thank you very much to Robbie MacNiven for taking time out of his busy schedule to join us.
My pleasure. It's always fun to talk about these sorts of things, so anytime, guys.
Yeah. Have you got any final remarks, things you'd like to say? Any hints to drop just while we've got you?
Not really, apart from the fact that the next things that I've written will be Warhammer Age of Sigmar, so a break from the Grimdark.
Excellent.
So, until next
Excellent.
time, this has been Remleiz from 40k Theories,
This has been Tactica Imperialis.
and we'll see you all again next time. Bye-bye.